Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 232, and today we're doing battle with the Scargrounds. And so, the Scargrounds, the self-damage deck, this one has been around since the beginning of the game. If you are still in that Foundations Gauntlet mindset, the Braum Vladimir deck is something that you may have considered bringing to the format, but it's not something that really stuck around. It wasn't a very spectacular deck in Foundations. It wasn't a strong deck in Expedition, but it kept getting support and more support throughout the course of the game. And so you call it the Scargrounds deck because of the card the Scargrounds. That's not featured within our deck list today, but that's the kind of idea, this self-damage to your own unit style of deck, to where we're going to play, say, an AoE like Ice Shard. Our units are going to get some kind of bonus from that damage, while we hopefully get to take down some of our opposing units. And so I was a bit taken aback by this. I do a lot of my researching over on Legna's site. This is LLORR-stats.com. That's a handful to remember, but if you just Google search LOR Legna, it should be the first one to pop up on the list. But if you go to his meta reports and then go to the fresh stats, this is the Diamond plus games played in the past 24 hours. The fifth one on the list here was Braum Vladimir, and that really surprised me. That's a much bigger market share than I really expected. I'm pretty sure I'm right on this page, and this is just Diamond plus games played over the past 24 hours, and this isn't the entirety of the games that they've mined, but it's here. This is this is something that people have been playing, and so I wanted to take a bit of an investigation to see if I wasn't just crazy, or if this was something that was making a kind of realistic push into the meta. Because you can make an argument for some of these cards being decent, right? If we're going to talk about a way to deal a 1 damage AoE, that's pretty decent against the likes of the Lulu Jinx decks with all of the little poros in it. Can be pretty decent against, I guess you should say, any of the Jinx decks, because as we look toward things like Boom Baboon and Reggie and Conchologist, those cards all get taken down by the AoEs, and then it's not even terrible against, say, Elise Gwen Katarina, and that the 1 damage AoEs can pop off all of the little spiderlings, and then the 1 and the 2 cost hallowed units. And so I was a bit surprised. I played some practice games, and my surprise was taken a bit aback. But this is what we're going to be doing battle with today. And so again, I've made my edits here to make this a bit more competitive. The problem that you've always had with the Scargrounds is it just kind of feels like a win more card, right? And so it can be kind of tough to get it actually onto the field, right? If you want to, say, play an AoE like Ice Shard with the Scargrounds on the board, that's a 6 mana investment, and you doesn't even account for putting dudes down. And so if on turn 4 of the game you want to Scargrounds Ice Shards, then that only leaves you with 4 mana to physically put units on the board with. And so you can get like a couple of 2-drops or 2 1s and a 2. It's just too tough to really pull off a lot with it. And so in the concept of trying to keep this a little bit competitive, instead of going for the Scargrounds, we've just gone ahead and completely removed that. If you've been keeping up with the spoiler season, though, the Freylord Darken equipment could most certainly work in a deck like this. It gives your units +0, +2, and then on attack it Omen Hawks the top 2 units of your deck. That's something I could see working in a deck like this. But that's a conversation for another day. I did want to say that I've taken the Scargrounds completely out. And then if you're really wanting to be competitive, you should probably realistically just cut Vladimir out of your deck as well. And so Vladimir, not too strong on his own. He's been slowly buffed over the course of time, and he is a kind of highlight of the need for rotation, and then that Riot kind of says, hey, this guy sucks, we need to just completely rework it. Instead of just leaving him around and not giving him any attention, we should probably just go ahead and take him out of the standard format. But with the background aside, again, what this deck is trying to do is you are looking to get advantages out of dealing damage to your own units and killing off your opponents in the same time. And so the Spirits Unleashed, recently buffed, this plays double duty in this sense, especially when tied in with our Overwhelms. And so the big plays that we're going to be looking to pull off are, say, having a Ruthless Raider and a Tusk Speaker on the board, and then dropping a Spirits Unleashed. This is going to give both of our Overwhelm units +1/+1, and then deal the 1 damage to all the opposing units, which is kind of dealing additional damage, right? If we're going to be attacking our opponents with overwhelmed units, and then we put the AoE down on the board, even if we don't necessarily kill all of the opposing units, we get some potential to deal extra damage with our overwhelms since we put that little bit of AoE damage onto the board. And so that is what the main concept of our unit suite looks like here, with the Ruthless Raider Tusk Speaker package, Fallen Reckoner, and then Scarmother Virna up at the top end, the Scarmother being the big payoff for some of these AoE abilities. So outside of that, we just have a bit of utility in terms of our units. The Crimson Bloodletter, just a stat monster. Omen Hawk is the classic stat generator throughout the game, and then Vulpine Wanderer to generate the stance swaps. The stance swap very commonly generates the Ram stance, the 1 damage AoE, and so that lets us have a little bit of versatility in our spell package without just jam-packing this thing full of Ice Shards and Spirits Unleashed and Avalanches and Fractures and all that. We would prefer to just have a unit and then generate the AoE if we need it, and if we don't, we can put a Regenerate or an Overwhelm onto something else. The Overwhelm can be fairly important since things like Vladimir just don't have it. Braum needs some bonus stats on occasion, and so it's nice to have the versatility that comes out of the Vulpine Wanderer and the Inner Beast. And so last but not least, the cards that I think that we always need in a deck like this. I am a humongous fan of Battle Fury. I love me a Battle Fury quite a bit. This typically comes out and steals some games that you just typically don't deserve. And the last one of note is the addition of Katarina in this. I've been on the Katarina hype train here of recent. I think that I got just, kind of stuck in my head that Katarina was not a good card. From her time and Foundations forward, this was just one of the weakest champions in the game. I never really got on that any of the kind of like recent Katarina hype decks, whether or not that was the whatchamacallit, the laboratory based things, whatever the Annie decks were, right? The Annie with the landmark, and you could use Katarina to generate some Blade's Edges. I wasn't on board with that, and I wasn't playing a lot of Katarina Gwen. But now that I've been kind of playing a bit of Katarina Gwen, she's really kind of grown on me. Playing on the Foundations Gauntlet, she's grown on me, and it's just arguably one of the best champions in the game. And so I think she fits in here fantastically. She works nicely with this Overwhelm strategy and really helps punch in that last bit of damage that we need to close out a game. And so that's it. That's the deck. That's what we'll be battling with today. You know what we have to do before the battles begin, though. We have to go and pay the pay-to-win price. And so it's tough for me. There's Fracture. This is one that, I'm not sure if we'll ever get the opportunity to turn it premium if we don't do it right now. Or there's the Spirits Unleashed, which we have more copies of in our deck. And I'm just going to go with the Spirits Unleashed. I feel like this may have some constructed potential at some point in its lifetime, and so it's gonna fit in. It's gonna get the job done today. All right, so there we have it. We'll grab the old Scargrounds deck. Just going to be doing battles in the normals today. I don't suspect this is going to be ultra competitive, and so maybe we'll just get some fun games along the way. All right. Misfortune Swain, the old pirates coming at us. So this hand, way too slow. You could see potentially an argument to hang on to Fracture, but I would rather have a unit, right? If we had a 1-drop or a 2-drop and Fracture, then I could see keeping it, but without having a unit, I'm going to send it away. This is going to be, it's like since we sent it away, opponent's going to open up with the big, the big 1 health opener. He's going to play a Legion Saboteur into Mirai Warden just to give us the big punish for for not keeping the Fracture. But this looks reasonable enough here. I guess the question is, do we want to play Tusk Speaker? We probably should just go for the damage. It's like, I'm kind of envisioning this control-y style route to where we just play the Vulpine Wanderer for value, then we get a good Ice Shard, but let's see what the opponent turns up. Alright, well the Ice Shard's still looking decent. Just the Tusk Speaker can't block a 2-health unit and survive an Ice Shard, and so if he plays a Mirai Warden here, we're kind of stuck. We can block a small unit like the Hookmaster, but doesn't really do anything here. Oh, he's got the scout unit. That makes things a little bit worse. I thought there might be the chance to just get him, but we should have ice sharded as soon as Misfortune came down. A little bit of a whoopsies. We'll see if we can't recover it out though. I assume he just never attacks here. Yeah. Braum's on the job. So he's like a little scary at this point. I want to see how much mana the opponent spends, and it's just he's at risk of getting hit by a ravenous flock, which not ideal, but I mean maybe it's okay. We're still going to get the Poro out of this at the end of the day, and so if he comes in to flock the Braum, it's not the end of the world.
I have my orders.
Oh, nice. See, this is one of these spots to where, you know, the AoEs are good. We can look to Vulpine Wanderer to pick up the Ram Stance. That's one of the more common plays you'll use with the Wanderer, but picking up the Spirits Unleashed changes all of that. We're gonna AoE this board most definitely. A little bit of the Swain train coming in. We got a blocker for him. He's not that big of a deal. Opponent says, uh-oh, that's a problem. Them units gonna be growing. I don't like that, my dude. I don't like that. The thing that he was probably looking to go for is just putting the Rake onto Swain and getting the double attack on the turn, but killing off both of his units and then now having a Tusk Speaker that can trade with the Swain gives him a lot of incentive to not be doing that. Sure.
Sacrifices must be made.
How close is he to flipping? We can just take the damage from Swain, right? I assume he's going to attack with Swain into the Poro. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. It's too bad we don't have Battle Fury mana here. That would be that would be pretty choice. But we are really close to the lethal. Let's see how this goes. We can make Swain can't block. He's going to follow up with a unit. We can hook that unit with Braum. And then we have this 7 damage from our remaining friends here. All right, GG. Market a W for bust. Trust Braum. Giddy up. I've been watching too much Seinfeld. I got giddy up stuck in my vernacular. That's an odd one. I'll see the reviews of Seinfeld on the old internets to see if it kind of holds its weight, and I think it does. I think it's still fine. Now I'm kind of in the age bracket to where I watched Seinfeld growing up. Like as it was on live, I remember watching it, but not too heavily. But then it was heavily in syndication through most of my youth, and so that was always just the show. It's like nowadays when people would be like, "Oh yeah, I just needed some background noise, so I turned on The Office." That was very much how Seinfeld was back then. It was just always on TV somewhere. You didn't have to follow the plot, and then I thought the majority of the show was exceptionally well done, and I think for the most part, a lot of the humor still holds up. It's not as directly obvious that these are just shitty people like you had with It's Always Sunny. It's Always Sunny just kind of like ran with it super hard in terms of these are just terrible, degenerate human beings, and that is kind of the plot of the show. And so you could take a really kind of taboo or kind of at the edge of trying to think of the right word. It's slipping me, but it's very, kind of controversial in their take, but it's never making fun of the thing, right? It's never saying this controversial topic is dumb. It's this topic is strange, and these people are just kind of handling it extremely poorly. I could come up with a little bit better wording on it if I was not in the middle of the game, but I think Seinfeld was kind of the precursor to that, as to where they were just shitty people, but not not really kind of plot driven in that sense. All right, nonetheless, let's get back to the game. I enjoyed the Seinfeld. It's been good. I still give it my recommendation. But here we're going to be smashing. We can get this Bloodletter down. We can follow up with Braum. Braum's going to eat the Bloodletter hit. We're going to have these giant stats on board. We'll get a Mighty Poro out of this. And then we can look to get Katarina down next turn. She should be pretty safe in this sense here. And even look to drop an Ice Shard, take down this Spirit Leech. Okay, I'm just going to do it now. This is a reasonable spot to where opponent's going to lose out on some of his sacrifice ability. I know he's going to be coming back with the Undying next turn, but taking that stuff off of the board really limits what a lot of his deck is trying to do. All right, here comes the Thunder. This would have been a decent spot for Vladimir. I think Vladimir is probably really close to flipping. We just did a AoE across 3 or 4 units, but he's not going to turn up. You're going to see if Braum eats the Quietus. Thread in the Needle. It's not a strike, right? Okay, it's like sometimes these weird strike cards will send Katarina back to your hand. Doesn't look like the case here, but looking good otherwise. He was just like physically playing Thread the Needle, right? There was no Gwen attached to that. Usually don't see Thread the Needle unless it's Gwen's flip. Alright. Dude's doing mean stuff to our board. Still seems like we're in a decent spot, and you're going to need to buy a bit of time here, but let's see what we can do. What is this thing? Is this a cat? Is this a dog? What is this? They're rarely kept as pets, just one little scratch from these claws opens up a vein, but I don't mind. What the fuck is that? Is it a cat dog? I don't know, man. That's a weird one. Alright, though. What are we doing? Opponent's doing stuff? What was this? The Darkened Halberd. Got it. I assume he's just like never attacking here. It's like we have the 7 damage on board we would need for lethal, but it's like it feels a little preemptive to be dropping 3 Sisters on the minion. Fracture's not quite what we're looking for. Is that where we need to go? You can generate the Fury of the North off of this, but this is not good. Not good. We're just running into our opponent's game plan. We're just a little bit too short on the damage we've been able to deliver. Kind of feel like we have to 3 Sisters here, but you don't really want to be 3 Sistering into the Shadow Isles deck. Clearly a control deck with 10 mana up. Maybe he'll do something weird. Maybe he'll drop a Vengeance onto Braum and then we can 3 Sisters in, but I'm a little scared about this. The other thing to remember, Fracture does 1 damage to everything. Everything here in all caps. And so if we can get him to 1, we can still get a kill with Fracture. curious if we shouldn't have fractured and then Ravenous Flocked the minion, if that would have been the way to go about it. Alright, let's see how close we get. I'm a little suspicious of how close we're going to be able to deal the damage, but can't give up on it, yo. Gotta keep going in. Okay. We will not be fracturing this board. So close to just killing all of our own units. Another Ravenous Flock. Ugh. Okay.
Never one.
Probably done here, but we could pick up a Battle Fury next turn. You know, Battle Fury onto our Overwhelm. It's got some potential. And then the Braum block will technically bring a flip. I worry about Braum running up against Kindred, since Kindred hits the weakest enemy, which is going to be Braum, and so he's probably gonna die this turn. Maybe it's okay if he's kind of counting on playing a remove. Oh, he goes big. Dang. I was gonna say if he's counting on playing, say, like a removal spell on a Bloodletter and then using the Kindred to kill Braum. Like, that would have been reasonable, right? We could have then, like, Fracture Ravenous Flocked Kindred to take the mark off of Braum, but this is okay. Interesting.
Google shows them where their spells
So what I'm curious if we can do here is put +2/+2 onto the Mighty Poro, and then just win with the Ravenous Flock, right? If we want to, say, Fracture, take everything down to, I think this is the way to go about it. Like, so we'll play the Fracture to put damage on all of his units, and then whatever he blocks the Mighty Poro with, we can Ravenous Flock out of the game. And get that last few points of damage in. Gives us a shot. Feel worse now, but it's better than no shot. Play something dumb. Spend all your mana on something dumb. Come on. Come on. Please? What if we say please? Uh-oh. All right. What is the realistic expectation if we don't win the game on this turn? It's probably pretty low, right? It's probably pretty low. Alright, let's give it a go. This opponent's just like way too far ahead. We have to block too much of this stuff. Let's see. Play something dumb. Play some. Spend your mana on something that doesn't matter. Come on, dude. I'm giving you the playbook to victory here. He's not wanting to take it. Ooh, maybe. All right. That's due for an emote. Maybe. I mean, if he needs this hate spike to work. We got the lethal on board, right? It says -5 into 4. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Opponent's thinking on this one kind of hard. Uh-oh. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. There it is. Nice. That's the good stuff right there. Tell me at what point in your day you thought that was a play that you were going to be seeing today. Putting the putting the +2/+2 onto a Mighty Poro, fracturing so that you can Ravenous Flock everything, using double Ravenous Flock to counter a Hate Spike and get the win. Oh, that's beautiful. That's the stuff of beauty right there. Record that and put it on your home movie reel. Nice. All right, so what do we got here? What was this number? Gnar, Zillion, and Action. Bandle City, Shurima. Okay. Not quite sure what we're getting ourselves into here, but we'll hang on to the Ruthless Raider. Look for some other early game plays. Didn't quite find him. Katarina came back, though. Katarina is one of these champions I can't really decide if I ever want to keep. It's such a... Like, historically, you would never want to keep this kind of card, right? If you're, say... oh god, is this going to be a Shellfolk deck? I don't know why it would be playing Gnar, but you know, if you want to think of and say in terms of Magic and the classic lightning bolt to the face, that's what you feels like you're doing a lot of times with Katarina. In that you're playing her, you attack, the attack doesn't deal any damage, or the attack just deals 3 damage, and then you've spent that 3 mana. You get the Katarina back in your hand, and so it feels kind of terrible to play early, but she just always seems so good. Devoted Council. All right. So play the Katarina. I'm just going to let the Blade's Edge go away. We'll keep that mana banked up for later. We should be able to get Braum out and running now. And then we can start to pop off. I assure you, Vladimir is in our deck. we might get him on board before the day is done. Gnar comes in with 2 mana, so shouldn't be able to combat trick up the Gnar through the Braum. So we'll just go for the extra points of Braum level up here. Give me some of them level up points, please.
They'll never know what killed us.
All right, now we're primed and ready for some Spirits Unleashed. Oh, man. Oh, man. It's like we don't even really need it. I don't feel like giving all of our units +1/+1 is really worthwhile. Let's do this. Let's drop the Reckoner. Or, like, how clever is this dude trying to be right now? Just passing on this board? I mean, we don't. It's just like we don't quite have the spells to come in and play next turn. All right. Well, let's at least get some value out of this turn. If he's going to come in with like an Exhaust or something, I think this is okay. We just get a little bit of something. It's like if we're playing a deck to where we had more to do next turn, right? If we had a spell mana play that wasn't one of these dum-dums in hand, like I feel like we could have just passed, but it's a little bit too much here. Mega Gnar. I don't feel like we really care about that. Maybe we have to. I'm just kind of like looking at this turn and saying like, okay, well, we can still just add a Katarina after we attack. And then on the follow-up turn, just, I'm trying to envision where we need this Three Sisters, and then also if we're actually playing against a Shellfolk deck. I like having the Entomb off of the Three Sisters if he drops his Shellfolk. Because if he gets to play Shellfolk this turn and then untaps with it next turn, we probably just lost the game. But maybe that adds up to us just wanting to add Katarina to the board. Let's see. If he's got the Pokey Stick or whatever, we still have the opportunities right now to Three Sisters up our Braum. So we might just get out of it here in that sense. Okay, we'll let that one go. I feel much better about the bank into this upcoming turn. See, there's the Shell Folk. Get that dumb shit out of here. He does get to do some responding to this, right? He can start throwing down pranks and everything, but the key card for us here right now, that's fine, is still being able to Katarina, right? If he wants to throw down a bunch of pranks, he can't prank through... you can't hit a champion with your pranks.
This might hurt.
Okay. All right, get us some of that Braum flip. It looks like an open attack should be enough to end the game now. He will get his Shell Folk at the start of next turn since he has the stasis statue on board, but I think we're okay. I mean, if it comes down to it, we can try and double Katarina and just hit him with Blade's Edges. So can he immediately beat us if he gets to get the Shell Folk on board? Like the thing that I start to worry about now is if we want to say play Three Sisters to deal the Fury of the North to try and take down the Shell Folk, then if he has like a stun, he can take this down. I think I'm leaning towards the Three Sisters, but we'll just entomb again. Still lets us deal the 3 damage with the Mighty Poro. And then we can try and get a Blade's Edge kill next turn. This might be too defensive, but it's just like letting the opponent have the opportunity to untap with a Three Sisters just feels like way too much. Or with a Shell Folk feels like too much. I don't think they have any heal, though. Oh, don't have any heal. They've got the Devoted Council on board. Oops. All right, well, let's hang out for a bit. This is sure to be loads of fun. I can't wait to see how they try to finish this game off. Loads of fun. Nice pranks. All right, Conchologist is the one that gives me a little bit of worry. But I think we're okay. Try and make him block with the Conchal or the Shell Folk here. This doesn't do anything. I'm glad we get to waste this time. I guess I should take that back. You can pick up cards off the top with the Pokey Stick, but that's going to be too slow. All right, loads of fun. I love that Curious Shell Folk exists. I don't know about you, but I had a ton of fun playing against the Shell Folk. All right, next battle though. All right, Katarina and Gwen. No Elise today. So reasonable enough. I like hanging on to either the Wanderer or the Spirits Unleashed just as a means to AoE, right? They do have those really big 1 health heavy starts, and so having access to something makes me feel a little bit safer. Still going to just lead out with Omen Hawks and try and do our Overwhelm kind of plan, but there's some strength there. Now the question is, do we ever just lead out with the Tusk Speaker, knowing that the play he's going to want to make here is that it's going to be the 3-1? Eh. But if he has a Vile Feast, then we're going to be much happier that we dropped dropped an Overwhelm. It's not terrible to get to kill this thing, though, right? All right, don't care about the foyer. So, do we want to just go ahead and Spirits Unleashed now? Like, we can Spirits Unleashed next turn. I don't. I'm not excited by it. At some point, we'll get excited by it, right? Not excited about it right now. This leaves us in a spot to where we can now we can Ruthless Raider and Stance Swap on this turn. An Omen Hawk, one way or the other. Let's see. Alright, I'm just going to pass. It's like if he doesn't open attack on us next turn, we have the really good Spirits Unleashed. And if he does open attack, it feels like kind of a win. Yeah. Yeah, get that Spirits Unleashed AoE in. Feels kind of nice, doesn't it? Sure. So I can't remember if we talked about this at the beginning, but one of the problems you run into with Vladimir is he doesn't have Overwhelm, right? He's just a big stat-heavy kind of unit out here. But the stance swaps do give us the versatility to put the +2 attack and Overwhelm onto a Vlad so that he has the opportunity to deal some damages in. But the other neat kind of thing we have access to here with Vlad is he needs 2 to level up, right? And we can 1 damage AoE to get our Vladimir leveled up at this point. Looks like that's not going to be the play, but we had the option there. Let's just try and clear this board out. Well, our other option is just to stance swap the Ruthless Raider. I think I like the Bloodletter. It's like he's never blocking with Gwen, and then he's going to trade the Sentry into the Ruthless Raider, right? This is fine. Gwen is a little scary next turn. We don't have great interactivity with her. We can take 1 hit from Gwen and not feel that terrible about it, but the second hit's going to be bad. It's going to be a lethal. Maybe this was too greedy on this turn. We'll have to see. Since I forgot, we're going to drop Virna with 11 health. Maybe that's our answer to just blocking Gwen. He's going to go up to 8 attack off of the Halloweds. All right, Virna, do your thing. You gotta, you gotta show him how to Scarground at this point.
We'll take what we want. The rest will burn.
Oh, the butchery we'd commit together.
Okay, okay. That's not bad. We have to worry about Atrocity, and we have to worry about an Attack Reckoner, whatever that one is called. Let's lead with the Tusk Speaker. It's like we have quite a bit of options with this collection of cards in our hand. We're going to want to flip the Vladimir before he attacks so that he gets to do the drain ability instead of 1 to it and 1 to the Nexus. playing that so slow. There's the flip. It's what everybody wanted to see, right? You wanted to see that Vladimir flip come in. Alright, he's ready. Don't care about these fallen reckoners. I think we're okay. Like both our Virna and our Vladimir survive a thread the needle.
No going back.
Let's see what them
Virna's going to be coming in for about 1 million, and then we still have this ice shard to give Virna another bonus. So I think that's all good. All good.
Dance.
Neg 19 coming in.
Quick snip.
And see, this is what I was kind of alluding to earlier, as to where these AoEs kind of count as dealing additional damage. I know if we play it here, it's going to kill off our Tusk Speaker, but if we put an additional damage onto Gwen and the Reckoner, see, we're doing neg 16 now. If we put in the Ice Shard, now we're doing neg 22. So it's 1 damage from the Reckoner, 1 damage from the Gwen, and then, of course, the +3 on the Scar Mother. All right. Good stuff, though. GG. At what point in any of these games would we have wanted to have the Scargrounds on the board? None of them. Zero of these games we wanted the Scargrounds. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, Rumble Scion. A little bit of discard stuff coming at us. I kind of like Katarina and the idea of Rumble, since she gives us the way to pop a spell shield. So I think I'm okay to hang on to her. We don't have a ton of ways to really interact with Rumble. We have to find the 3 sisters, but if we don't have something like Katarina to pop a spell shield or put a point of damage on him for a Ravenous Flock, we're just never going to answer a Rumble. So I think she's an okay keep here. Battle Fury. It's going to be one of those days, huh? I'm hype. I'm hyped for the Battle Fury. You can put it on Braum. You can use it for lethal. So many options.
Looking for a hero.
What you got? Yordle Squire? Let's just hold back on this one. We've got a lot going on in our hand, right? We have the Spirits Unleashed to help deal with this. We have Katarina if we want to get a Blade's Edge. It doesn't feel like the greatest spot to come in and just trade with the Yordle Squire. Now we picked up the slightly bigger Vulpine Wanderer. Then on the following turn, we can decide if we want a Spirits Unleashed or Braum, or if we pick up another 2-drop, we could look to do a 1 damage AoE and then follow up with the 2-drop or something. Lots of options here.
Yeah, an even bigger weapon.
Whoa. Interesting. All right, we prevented the point of damage. I think we're good with the Spirits Unleashed. It lets us, like, opponent hasn't presented anything scary at this point. If he wants to play Rumble this turn, Rumble's going to be terrible. He does have this Risen Rider in hand, which trades with our dudes. Kind of fine with that at this point, but this lets us just build up significantly, as to where, like, adding a Katarina and shooting one of these units doesn't feel like a big win. Sure. He's going to drop the Risen Rider and trade with our Ruthless Raider. It's like we don't even have to trade at this point. We could just look to deal with it with Braum in the future, but like against the Rumble decks, I do worry a little bit if we have to take a 4 damage hit from this guy. So I guess we could just block him next turn, right? Then if he wants to Rumble, we still have the Braum to get good blocks with. Okay, I'm on board. Does he change anything? Right, he's going to make the Risen Rider a 4 health. We can't kill the Mecha Forcer with Braum, but it does let us get that 4/4 Poro on the board. Okay. Braum's ready for a stance swap out here. That's what he's looking for today. he said, give me an Overwhelm, friend.
Do they need our help?
Says, uh-oh. Okay, so we're just going to take 3 damage on the turn. That all feels pretty good. And to a degree, we even could just take some of this damage, but... Right, if we wanted to put the Ruthless Raider in front of the Mecha Forcer and then just take 9, probably not at too much risk of getting lethal next turn, but... I think that's probably too risky. This isn't permanent, right? 2/2 this round. Okay, because I'm wanting to add Katarina next turn. Katarina generating the Blade's Edge for the 1 health unit's good, and then probably try and close out the game with an Overwhelm, or with a Rally on the next attack, opponent's next turn. So we'll see. We have the mana to do all this stuff, right? If we wanna stance swap Braum, we can. If we want to take Heart Braum, we can. We can still definitely play Katarina and the Blade's Edge. So I think we're in a good spot. Did opponent drop their phone in the toilet? Nope. Ah, he's coming back. He says, not yet, Bust. I'm just thinking. Slow your roll, buddy.
Let the bloodshed begin.
So, I mean, we don't have to stance swap Braum here. It's looking a little bit better now to just do a ram stance and then kill off the Squeaker. Let's see how obvious it is for opponent that we're about to do shenanigans. See if he adds in a unit to the board, drops a Rumble on the board, and lets us pop the Spell Shield or something. It should be fairly obvious that shenanigans are afoot now, but I want to give him the opportunity to mess this up. We're gonna drop the stance 100% of the time. He knows it's in our hand, but give him a shot to do something weird. Okay. Now the question is, do we want to stance off of the Katarina? I think it's okay to protect the health on our Mighty, right? If we do the damage to Katarina, it opens her up to getting hit by like Ravenous Flocks, but I think we should just be so far ahead at this point. It probably doesn't matter. And then if it goes right, our Mighty didn't take any damage. He says, oh, snap bust, you boomed me real good there. You boomed me real good.
This is fun, yes?
These blocks all look like doo-doo. Now we're ready to drop a Rally Katarina next turn. I dig it. I dig it.
No one gets in my way.
That's how we tie into the Scargrounds with Katarina, right? It's her having of Death Lotus as her flip ability, right? You deal 1 to all the battling units. That's on theme. It's on board. Nothing wrong with that. Say some of us play Fracture, some of us play Death Lotus. It's all the same. Ooh, Scion, you are not scary at this point.
Quick as the blade.
Have you met my shield? We should be friends.
Close to getting a Braum flip. I wonder if he ever attacks us back now that we just have the small units on board, right? We got a 4 health Braum in the face of Scion, and we just get to go for the take heart for the massive takedown of the day. What you thinking? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We'll save the emote on this one. There we go. Now we can bring it. Little cupcake action. There we go. A little bit of Christmas time Braum for you. Santa Braum emotes coming in. 'Tis the season, if you will. Looking good. Looking good. All right. Willing to bet this does it. This GG's it right here. GG. All right, not bad, not bad. So we are rapidly approaching the 60-minute mark in this video. We typically go for 8 games. I feel like some of those drug on a little bit, but we'll get in one more. One more should get us right around that hour mark. Probably get paired up against some kind of Seraphine back alley bar deck and and be completely wrong, but it should be pretty close. All right, Talia Malphite, bringing in the landmarks. So what do we got? I'm not counting on too much from Ice Shard in this one. It's never going to kill Chip. It can't hit things like Ruin Runner, but there's not a lot of great targets for that. Do you have the Crimson Bloodletter and a Tough unit combo? That's a nice way to get a bunch of damages in. It's been kind of odd there hasn't been more Tough units coming out of Freylord. Like, right, because you get to deal the damage. It doesn't die because it has Tough. That comes in and then activates our Vladimir. Since they did all of the battle scars right at the beginning, I'm really surprised we haven't seen more Tough units, with the exception of the Scargrounds coming around. It's a pretty powerful thing to be doing like that. All the equipments. Hi, dude. Well, I'm bringing the aggro action today. We're of course not going to get a kill on turn 4 here, but this does get us pretty primed and ready for a kill with a Battle Fury on our next attack. So. Nice little 8 hit coming in. 10 hit, even better. I gotta redo the mathematics on those. Is he gonna do a stun? I would love to see a stun come down now, as opposed to the turn when we're trying to play Battle Fury. So, Celestial Wonder sounds good. He doesn't get to add anything to the board. If his play next turn is to just Talia a Dragon Roost, I still feel pretty good there as well.
I will weave my own path.
So how much does all this cost? If we want to go into next turn and be able to Battle Fury, we need to keep this 2 mana banked, right? So our answer to that, I want to play the stance swap. We're going to do 1 damage to everything off of our Tusk Speaker, so he doesn't die. That's going to let us Ravenous Flock the Talia. Next turn, ew, he's going to have 2 dragons though next turn, isn't he? Well, hopefully we have enough to get through that. Hopefully. That's a little scary now. Well, I thought it was going to be so much easier than Invalus Vox turned up. Is it better to just go for a Spirit Unleashed? I don't know, man. I think we're just all in at this point. Laser Beam. Nice. And so, yeah, not a bad set of games. Not a bad set of games. We can pull this up, talk about it just a little bit more. And again, you could see in this space as to where there wasn't a single game to where we wanted the Scargrounds, right? I know we aren't like 100% built in towards the theme, but it's just too awkward and slow. I think my example there as to where we have, say, 10 mana, a Scargrounds, and an AoE, that's going to cost us 5 or 6 mana. That only leaves us with the space of like 2 or 4, about 5 mana, 4 mana, whatever, to put units on the board with. And so is giving those units tough and +1 attack enough in that situation? And it just doesn't. It doesn't sound like enough. It's just not a big enough payoff. If you're really looking to have the magical Christmas land scenario where you have the Scargrounds on board and you play the Spirits Unleashed and you give all of your dudes +2, +1 and tough and it feels really good or something, then by all means go for it. But in general, I don't think it's really worth it in that sense. And so I would most certainly recommend keeping the Scargrounds out. The next one to talk about would be the Champion package. And at what point do we take this deck and just change it from being the likes of this Scargrounds self-damage kind of thing into just being a Darius Nar deck, right? That's the next piece of the puzzle, the next part of the equation. And, you know, if you're going to start saying like, well, I'd probably just take Vladimir and Braum out, then that's immediately where you're going to fall, is leaving this realm of doing the self-damage stuff and then finding yourselves into that just pure big overwhelmed style deck. And so I don't think that's, you know, quite worth it. I think a lot of the ideas here are okay. In the sense that we're playing these overwhelmed units and we're playing with the AoEs. It gets us a little bit away from that just pure Darius Nar sense as to where we're playing decisive maneuvers and Noxus Blasts and we're playing Decimates and having more of that late game burn package. But you know, there's certainly going to be a lot of parallels between this deck and that deck if we are bringing this Ruthless Raider Tusk Speaker package in the early game and then using Scarmother Virna as a bit of the late game overwhelm finisher. But nonetheless, in terms of keeping it kind of on theme and on track here, the one that really does bring some curiosity to me is, to a degree, Vladimir and him having access to that drain ability, because he wasn't that challenging to flip. We flipped him pretty much every time we had him with all of these AoEs and all of the targets to hit with this. And so I'm curious if it shouldn't be some kind of thing as to where we actually look to cut out Braum, because he isn't that exciting without ways to boost his attack, right? The only attack boosting thing we have in here are the Omen Hawks and then the stance swaps. And so I could say Braum could go, maybe Vladimir gets to stay, and then you look towards another champion to replace the Braum, because I do feel like we got a bit lucky that just not running into Quietus today, and having your Braum get smoked by Quietus is just an ultimately pretty terrible feeling. And so kind of tough there. But nonetheless, there are some interesting things coming up out of the new set. There is, the equipment that lets your units Omen Hawk on attack. That one may have some potential in a deck like this. And then I believe there is also another one that I think it's a 2-mana burst that gives a unit 0/2, and then if that unit is damaged, it gives it 2/3. And so definitely having something to come in the combat trick space could be pretty useful. And so this deck may be getting a bit of an upgrade in the next set with the release of the World Ender. And so definitely interesting things to keep in mind there. I do like this AoE damage plus overwhelms thing. We talked about getting in the extra damage to where you get to remove the units, but then also deal the damage so your overwhelms come in through for a little bit more. And I think that that's a nice piece of the combo here. But the last thing I'll say before I leave with this is I do see a lot of these decks running around with the likes of Troll Chant and not playing Inner Beast, not playing Vulpine Wanderer. I hope we really got to showcase the strength of the stance swaps in these games. We hit on the AoE one multiple times, very good there. And then also having the bonus attack to Braum, the bonus attack to Vladimir, giving a unit overwhelm when it doesn't naturally have it, can be exceptionally powerful. And so, good stuff. Is it a premier ladder grinder? Probably not, but you can, I'm sure, level up on the ladder with this if you want. We just 6-0'd it in the normal queue. I saw a couple of Masters players in there along the way, and so most certainly something you can take to normals and have a bit of success with, and pretty fun deck. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. That's that. We'll do it for us today. And so I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.